In our last episode, we discussed about self-awareness. After that, we received bunch of emails and DMs what exactly self-acceptance is. Why is it that self-acceptance is so important? Okay, so let's say I accepted my flaws as well as my virtues. Now, what happens next?
You are creating these two people within yourself where one part is very much liked by you and there is another part which is your dark part, the past mistakes that you have done. You have maybe hurt people, you have taken bad decisions. You are hiding that part, not even acknowledging the part that you have. And with that constant conflict, you won't be able to have healthy relationships with people. You will have negative self-talk because inside you will be constantly either blaming yourself or shaming yourself, or you will be feeling embarrassed of yourself, and you will be your worst enemy because the kind of things you will say to yourself won't be healthy. Major changes that could happen once you accept yourself. If you do not have self-compassion, then you are hating yourself. I mean, if you are hating yourself, how do you expect anybody else to love you?
Why is it so hard for us to accept ourselves?
It is very, very hard, and often people cry at this point. Ego comes in the way. Ego is a major thing which stops people from accepting what they have done. Our parents and our teacher reward our best behavior.
Yeah.
They celebrate our achievements. And if we have been bad, if we have thrown a fit, have shown some bad habits, they reprimand that and they do not accept that part of us.
Mother Teresa said once, when you compare yourself with someone else, you disrespect yourself. Hello and welcome to our podcast From You to You. Here we discuss all the possibilities of becoming the best version of you, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. I am Afreen Khan, an internationally certified yoga teacher and a healthy lifestyle coach.
Hey there, I am Shireen Khan and I am a certified life coach.
Shireen,
Yeah.
in our last episode, we discussed about self-awareness, everything that revolves around that particular topic. And after that, we received a bunch of emails and DMs where people said, okay, we understood self-awareness and we got into it, we became self aware. Now we know our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, our flaws, etc. Now, what would be the next step to self awareness? Okay, so I think this is a very valid question.
Yes, it is a very valid question. For example, you have gotten into self work. First thing you have done is you have identified where you are at, what are your qualities, what are your strengths, what are your flaws and mistakes that you have done in the past and everything. Now, what's next? So once you have recognized that who you are actually, and by who you are, I mean what makes you a person, your good part, your positive part, and your dark part or the bad part. Then the next step is accepting. So self acceptance comes after self awareness.
Okay, so self acceptance is something that comes after self awareness. So, Shireen, explain what exactly self acceptance is.
As the term itself suggests, it is accepting oneself with the positives, which is your qualities, your achievements, and also your negatives, which are your mistakes and flaws and the bad things that you have done in the past. And there is no judgment.
Right.
So, when you are fully accepting who you are in the present moment, we can say that this is the moment of self acceptance.
That sounds good. So, why is it that self acceptance is so important?
I think self acceptance is very important because it's a point from where your self improvement or self work will start, because it is only through accepting your flaws or your mistake that you can now make a plan to improve them. Once you have established that, okay, these are the points that I want to improve upon, then only obviously you will make plan to improve. Unless you accept that this is who I am, there won't be any next steps that are happening.
Fair enough.
So that's why it is very important that first thing first, you accept yourself
For who you are.
for who you are, of course. Also, if you have not accepted yourself, you are creating these two people within yourself where one part is very much liked by you, which are your achievements, which are the good parts, where you have, all your accomplishments and good qualities that you adore about yourself and other people adore about you. And there is another part which is your dark part, the past mistakes that you have done. There are two people, like I said, in one person. One is good self, where you are loving all the good qualities that you have and the accomplishments and everything. And on the negative side, you have your dark side, where all the mistakes that you have done in the past, or you have maybe hurt people, you have taken bad decisions and everything. So you are hiding that part, not even acknowledging the part that you have. So what is going to happen when these two people are living inside you? You are going to have a non-stop conflict between these two people, and will keep your energy engaged. And at any given point in time, you won't be having the expression of your full self.
Right.
So since you have not accepted, you will be stuck in that point in your life and you won't be able to move forward. So it is very important for you to accept who you are in order for you to move on in life and be better. So if you are keeping these parts of yourself hidden and not working on them, then it can give rise to stress, anxiety, and even depression. So even if you go to a therapist, first thing first is acceptance. So, for example, someone is an addict, they have addiction issues, maybe with alcohol or drugs or any other addiction. So, they live in a denial that, okay, I am not like that, or I don't do it, or maybe, they are minimizing what they do. If you have not accepted yourself, it will be holding you back majorly and you will have low self confidence. Because if you have not accepted yourself fully, how do you expect other people to accept you?
Correct.
As simple as that. And since you have not accepted yourself, you have a fear that other people will not accept you. And this will give you low self confidence plus low self esteem as well. And you will not have good relationships with people. Because even if they are not talking about your flaws, but since it is non stop going on in your mind that I have this mistake done or I have this flaw, you will be thinking from that point of view, and anything that person may not have said even in that context, you will think that they have pointed out your flaw. And with that constant conflict, you won't be able to have healthy relationships with people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you have not accepted yourself fully, you will have negative self talk, because inside you will be constantly either blaming yourself or shaming yourself, or you will be feeling embarrassed of yourself, and you will be your worst enemy, because the kind of things you will say to yourself won't be healthy.
Right. That is very sensitive. I completely agree. When we don't accept our flaws, we kind of get into a very negative self-talk.
It is not even about accepting the flaws, it is about celebrating your achievements as well.
Yeah.
So, acceptance does not necessarily mean that only accepting the bad part, but we often fail to even acknowledge our achievements.
Yeah.
We minimize them, we feel like it's not a big deal. And that could lead to not being grateful as well. So
Yeah.
it is both the things together, accepting the good part of you and celebrating it and doing more of it, and also accepting that you might have some flaws as well, that it's your call if you want to work on them or you just want to live as is, but acceptance of
Right.
both.
Right. Okay, so let's say I accepted my flaws as well as my virtues. Now, what happens next?
As soon as you accept yourself, it gives you more confidence to be who you are in any situation. And even if someone is criticizing you, you won't feel it that sensitively, because you already are aware who you are. So these two are major changes that could happen once you accept yourself. You do not need others' approval if you have accepted yourself, because you are so certain of who you are. When you are not accepting yourself, you are living in a place of past, you are dwelling in the past, and you are carrying kind of a baggage. So in order to enjoy the beauty of now and live in the moment, it is very essential that you forget the past and leave the past in the past.
Right.
And accept yourself
In the present moment.
in the present moment, because whatever has happened, good or bad, you cannot go back in time and change it. The only thing you can do is accept it in today and rise from that, if at all.
Yeah, that makes sense because, personally, whenever I go back, because I think we do it sometimes, and when I go back in time and I dwell in my mistakes, I feel anxious. It gives me anxiety.
Of course. And also powerlessness, because you cannot do anything about it. The time has gone.
Yeah.
Forgiveness comes in the picture, because if you accept yourself, obviously you will forgive yourself, because you will come to a realization that you could not have done better.
Right.
You were not as self aware as you are now. That's why you have done something. If that situation comes now, you won't be repeating your mistake. When we are holding something inside us, something from the past, and the mistake that you have done, you are living in that dark place, and it is very difficult for you to have compassion for yourself. And if you do not have self compassion, then you are hating yourself. I mean, if you are hating yourself, how do you expect anybody else to love you?
Wow.
So it is very important for you to accept yourself in order for you to have self compassion.
And self love.
Of course. So once you have accepted yourself, okay, like a whole person, no matter what it encompasses, will give you joy and contentment, because you are happy with yourself. And a happy person would obviously want to create more happiness for other people. So in order for you to have healthy relationship with other people, it's important that you have healthy relationship with yourself.
That is beautiful. Completely can relate to it. Now tell me, why is it so hard for us to accept ourselves?
There are so many reasons. When I start coaching my clients, the most difficult part is self acceptance, because people feel like they are giving away the power.
Right.
So they feel like if they are accepting the flaws or the mistake that they have done, because there are so many things that they have done which are, even they don't want to associate themselves with, like even hurting other people, or some things are irreparable that they can't go back in time, and in present they are experiencing repercussions of the things that they have done. So it is very very hard, and often people cry at this point when they have to accept. So ego comes in the way. Ego is a major thing which stops people from accepting what they have done. Next thing is conditioning from our parents and conditioning growing up. It is not just my experience, it is, I'm sure, your experience and everyone else's experience, that our parents and our teacher reward our best behavior.
Yeah.
They celebrate our achievements. And if we have been bad, if we have thrown a fit, or have shown some bad habits, they reprimand that and they do not accept that part of us. So since they do not accept our bad part, we also do not accept, we get conditioned to not accept our bad parts.
Yeah.
Or our mistakes. So it becomes a habit, and it becomes part of our nature. When we grow up, we do not want to associate with bad part of us. So that's why it is very difficult when we grow up to accept our bad parts.
Makes sense.
In case of people who are addicted to alcohol or drugs or any other kind of addiction, they use denial as a coping mechanism. So they either minimize or completely deny that they are involved into something bad. We do not accept ourselves. That takes away the power, like I said earlier, and also kind of disappoint us. And we don't want to live in disappointment. We want to feel great about ourselves. So sometimes we are just lying to ourselves and only talking about the good things or the achievements that we have done, rather than accepting we have some flaws as well. In the hindbrain, we are thinking that if we have identified some areas to work, we would actually have to work, and we don't want to do that.
If someone is ready, okay, and they understood all of this and they now want to accept themselves, so how to go about it?
It is not an easy thing to do
Mhm.
because self acceptance is not a one time decision. There is not a switch button, unfortunately, that you can just switch it on and it will continue. It's a process, and it's an ongoing process, because once you have decided that you want to accept, you will again go back to a point and you will reach to some mistakes that you really don't want to accept, and then again you have to start from where you have stopped. Also, our mind is playing tricks with us.
Yeah.
In psychology, there is negativity bias,
Mhm.
which means that our mind only remembers or only tells us the negative things we have done or the threats in life.
Mhm.
And this is something which has kept us safe in the past, because when our mind only remembers threats or negative things,
Mistakes.
or the mistakes, that will keep us safe from doing that again. That's why you have to keep this in mind, that it is the human psychology that is playing trick on us whenever we are just getting into a negative thinking and only remembering the negative thing. So it is very important to remember our positives as well and have a positive self talk. We have to remember that acknowledging our mistakes and flaws does not mean that we are accepting it to be that person forever. We can always work on it ourselves, and we can always move on from the situation. Gratitude plays a huge role when you want to accept yourself,
Mhm.
because just now what I said about the negativity bias, we cannot only look at the negative points, we also have to look at the gifts that we have. Journaling, writing the good points down about ourselves and the accomplishments that we do in day to day life. Even making note of small accomplishments and progress can help you feel grateful. And if you are grateful, obviously you will not want to count the negative points. And that will automatically make you accept yourself more and feel good about yourself more. Building a support system around you of good friends and family members, who will have your back no matter what, is a good strategy when you want to be reminded of the good things that you have or the qualities that you have. Being around people who are constantly reminding you of your flaws will make you hate yourself more, and then you will have challenges in accepting the complete self.
Right. Shireen, like you just said, it is absolutely right. Friends or family members who can encourage you and help you to become a better person are a real blessing. But I also know of some people, they don't have a strong support system. Would you like to say anything to such people? What should they do, or how should they find it?
You are right. Many of us are not fortunate enough to have good friends or family members who will have our back unconditionally.
Mm.
So, in that scenario, you have to become your own best friend. You have to become your own coach and your own guide. I know it sounds very difficult and daunting, and it is, as a matter of fact, but one step at a time, you have to. That's where journaling comes in, because it's a practice to do for yourself.
Mm.
And when you are writing about the good things that you have or the good things that have happened to you during the day, just being grateful, you will have the power in yourself and the acceptance in yourself that it does not matter if other people feel the same about you or not. So, kind of being your own support system will help you. What I suggest is that you become your best friend. You have to forgive yourself for whatever you have done. You have to understand one thing, whatever happened in the past, if you have made any mistake, you have hurt some people, you are only human. When you accept your humanness, then only you can forgive yourself. If you have identified some weaknesses, working on them consciously, so one step at a time, if you have identified one weakness and you have worked on it, it will give you more power to maybe work on other weakness of yours as well. So, power of positivity, thinking positive when you are working on yourself and being patient with yourself will help you in accepting yourself better. Last but not the least, stop comparing yourself with other people because everyone is unique. And when you accept that uniqueness, that will give you a lot of self acceptance in just your uniqueness.
That's right. You are right, Shireen. I think I have read somewhere that comparison is the killer of joy. Mother Teresa said once, when you compare yourself with someone else, you disrespect yourself. Yeah. So, great talk. Thank you so much for all these beautiful words that you have shared with us today. So, this is it in today's episode. If you like this episode, you can share your feedback. We are also there on Spotify and Apple Podcast. You might want to go and check it out. Don't forget to subscribe. Keep working on yourself and stay fit.